Okay. Is it visible? Hello?
Sir, your screen is still not visible.
Not visible. Let me try.
Yes, sir, it is now visible. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Uh, so, very good morning. So, today my lecture is to introduce the basic concept of the machine learning. Okay. So, let me start that what is our agenda today. First of all, we first discuss the machine learning process and the steps in machine learning, various algorithms, and finally, there will be conclusion session. So, why that machine learning nowadays is very cutting edge of the technology? Since the business world is continuously changing from several industrial to technology driven. So basically all industry is now on data driven technology. That means all the technology that is based on data. And we know that it is huge amount of data that is continuously uploaded, and there is some complex pattern. We have to find the complex pattern for the data. Otherwise we have to very struggle to discover those patterns. If we just, this is the statistics, the total number of amount of data that is captured, created, and consumed in the world, that is reaching from 79 zettabyte in the year 2020 and is expected to grow 181 zettabyte by 2025. Just think about it. That is the total growth of the particular volume of data that is generating at every time. So what machine learning will do? Machine learning will try to analyze those data. Machine learning will try to analyze those data, and at the same time it will try to find the pattern which is impossible for the human being to discover this pattern. And here is the machine learning comes into the market. So it will learn, it will train that particular data, what is their relationship, and according to that it will give some outcome. That means it will give some prediction. Okay. Now, if we think that what is the basic difference between the traditional programming versus the machine learning? In traditional programming, we find there will be some input and their rule will be given and we are getting the output. Suppose I am finding that y equal to fx, where fx equal to x square. So the rule is given f and input is given x. So for input, we are getting the value, output. But in case of machine learning, input will be given, output will be given. We have to find out the rule. That means what rule we are using. So machine learning will discover the rule. That means input and output will be given. The data will be given. That means x equal to 1, y equal to 1, x equal to 2, y equal to 4. Then we have to find out what is the relationship between x and y. And that is the part of the machine learning. That is the part of the machine learning. So if we compare that the traditional programming language to the machine language, so traditionally programs automate tasks by writing programs. In machine learning, a computer finds a program that fits to data. That means we have to feed the machine to various kinds of data. It will be trained on the data, it will find the particular pattern, and it will give us the prediction. That is the part of the machine learning. Okay. Now, if we find that what are the various domain or dimension or use case for machine learning, there are mainly three categories. One is classical learning, another is reinforcement learning, another is neural nets and deep learning. So these are the three categories. Classical learning means what's happened in the classical learning? Classical learning, basically, there are different types of labeled data and unlabeled data will be given. On the basis of that, it will give us the prediction. That is called the classical learning. Similarly, suppose there are a group of clustering that will be based on the classical learning. What is about reinforcement learning? Reinforcement learning is basically the particular learning algorithm where there will be an agent. That agent will try to learn something and it will always, on the basis of its learning, it will get some reward. And if it's find that it achieves its optimal, then it will continue. Otherwise, it will still learning process. That is called a reinforcement learning. Now, there are other part that is called neural nets and deep learning. So neural nets and deep learning, that is also the part of the machine learning. Basically, it is a subfield of the machine learning or subset of the machine learning. Then where actually it is used? It is used where the data are used in nature, which may not possible for machine learning to work, give us the fine result. So in that case, the neural nets or deep learning will work. Okay. So basically, the neural nets or deep learning, that is based on the neural nets. Okay. Now, in today's lecture, I concentrate myself only to the classical learning problem. That means the supervised and unsupervised, and I shall discuss the different types of algorithm on the basis of the supervised and unsupervised learning, and at the same time the semi-supervised learning. I am discussing those points later. Now, under the neural nets, you find there are different algorithms are there. So I just briefly describe the algorithm. Okay. So you find that first is GAN. What is that? That is basically generative adverse network. This generative adverse network that is used to reconstruct the image. There are two parts. One is the generator and there is the discriminator. So generator will produce the image sample, and what is the part of the discriminator? It will simply distinguish the fake sample. If there is any fake sample, it will remove that. Autoencoder is another technique that is used in the deep learning methods that is used to reconstruct the image. Okay, so that is the other part for the other technique for the neural nets. Similarly, RNN, recursive neural network. So it is basically used for text-based classification. Suppose, for example, handwritten recognition, how it will identify. Handwritten recognition, that is image-based. So that will be identified by the CNN, or convolution neural network. So the basic difference between CNN and RNN is that RNN will use the text-based classification, where CNN will use the image-based classification. So it has used, actually, it has used scope nowadays in all medical terminology and all medical history. Actually, this is extensively used. But today, I concentrate only on the classical learning, okay, and the different algorithm, and compare the different algorithm on that part. So what are the steps in machine learning? First, we have to gather the data. We have to collect the data from various sources. Second point is very important, that is data preparation. That means we have to format the data, we have to extract the important features, because whenever we are working on the data set, the standardized format is very important. It may have that all the features may not be equally important to predict some information. Okay, so for example, suppose I want to find the performance of the player. Now, whenever I want to find the performance of the player, now then the data set, it is given that number of studying, that means studying hour. So it is totally not related to the player's performance. So we can reduce or we can simply remove those features. So that is called the dimension reduction. So we have to find out that which features are important, which features are strongly correlated to the particular predicted data. And according to that, we have to choose those features. Not all the features are equally important to predicting the particular data. Next, after preparing the data, the next point is training. So now I have to fit in the model and I have to train those data. Now, whenever we perform this training, there are two parts. One is training. We have to split the entire data set into two parts. One is called training and another is testing. So in the training data, whenever we are going to fit the model, there are two parts. One is training and another is testing. Now, what will be the ratio? Ratio as you wish. Sometimes we just use 80% training, 20% testing. Sometimes we use 90% training, 10% testing. Sometimes you use 50% training, 50% testing. It depends. Okay. Generally, the optimal one is 80-20 ratio. So after training the model, now we have to test the model. That means how well it performs. And if we find that the performance is not up to the mark, again we have to train the model with different sets of training and testing process. And in that way, we have to fine tune the model to maximize its performance. Okay. Now, the next part is, just a minute. Yes. Becomes hang. Just a minute. Now, after that, I shall discuss the different types of machine learning approach. So what are the approach in the machine learning approach? Number one is that you find that it is the supervised learning, then unsupervised learning, then semi-supervised and reinforcement learning. So these are the different types of approach in machine learning, right? So what is supervised learning? Because I tell you that I just put emphasis on the particular classical model. So supervised learning is the data set on which we train our model in leveled. That means based on the example inputs, the model is able to get trained in the instance. For example, there are different types of level data. Level means whether it is triangle, whether it is square. So different types of data will be given. So it will be trained the model and we try to test the data, say triangle and square. Then it will give you the prediction whether it is square or triangle. So this is called the supervised learning. Supervised learning is basically will applied on the data where it is level data. Okay. Now, these supervised learning again are divided into various parts, mainly regression and classification. What is regression and classification? Regression is a model which is a prediction model which is based on the continuous variable. Okay, but classification, it is also prediction, but it is based on some class or discrete set of values. That is the regression model. That is the difference between the regression and classification model. In regression, suppose you want to find the trends of a particular sales pattern. You just see the history of the sales pattern and you may find out that what will be the prediction in 2022 for the particular sales transaction. That is regression. Classification means, suppose a particular patient is suffering from diabetics. So it will identify whether it will test certain parameter for the patient and it will test that whether the patient suffering from diabetics or not. So it will find two categories, that is called binary classification, either diabetics or not. Okay. So this regression again are of two types. One is simple regression, another is multiple regression. Okay, I am describing this each of the point in details. This classification again, there are two types. One is linear, another is non-linear. Now, in the linear model, you find that there are different types of algorithm like logistic regression, support vector machine. Then under non-linear, there are different types like KNN or K nearest neighbor, then neighbor-based decision tree and random forest. So these are the different types of algorithm that is used for the supervised machine learning process. Okay. Now, I am coming to the point one by one. Now, mind it, though logistic regression, SVM, then KNN, naive-based, that is under classification, but it can be also treated as the regression model. So whether the model will be regression or classification, that is based on its data set. If the data set is a continuous variable, then the prediction will be based on the regression. And if the data set is on the discrete set of values or some class category, then that will be based on the classification. So there is no hard and fast rule that which model will be under classification or regression. But generally, this KNN, naive-based, SVM, they are used as a classification. Similarly, logistic regression, that is also used as the under classification. Okay, so these are the different types of model or different types of algorithm that is used in the machine learning algorithm. So next, simple regression model or simple linear regression. So in this model, SLR, that means simple linear regression, that will learn from its training sample, and each training sample is one or more than one input value, but must have one output value. The algorithm learns the line that best fit the training sample. So what is the prediction? Prediction is means we have to draw a line to predict the output value for the input sample. That means some input samples are given. We have to find the best fit line. We have to find the best fit line for the linear regression. See, this is the example. So there are two variables. That means X is the independent variable and Y is the dependent variable. And any equation of the line can be expressed in the Y equal to, you know, that B0 plus B1X. Now, the red color, that will show you some point. That means
Sir?
data point. Hello? Yes?
Sir, what is prediction? Can you repeat, sir?
Prediction means actually what you can predict, what will be the outcome for the particular given set of values. That is called the prediction. Suppose your sales transaction, you find that the last 5 years, it is give you, say, revenue $5 billion. Then what will be the value after 1 year? That is the prediction. That means you can see that you can think that decision that what are the value particular data point from the given data point. That is called the prediction. Prediction means you can predict something, that what will be the output after 1 year or 2 years. That is called the prediction. Understood? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the simple linear regression is basically you find a red point, that is the data point is given. Now we have to draw a line which is equidistant from all these red points. So we have to draw this optimal line in such a way that the distance from each of the point to the given line will be minimum. And for any given value of X, you can easily find out the value of Y on the particular line. And that is called the prediction value. That is called prediction value. Okay. Suppose the particular, I'm talking about the house price prediction. What is that? House price prediction based on different types of given input. Okay. So what will be the house price? Suppose I find that a particular house price that is given, I find that last 3 years it is trend is, say, 50 lakhs. Then what will be the value of the particular house in the next year? That is called the prediction. That is called the prediction. Okay. So simple regression use whenever I have only one input variable. In that case, only simple linear regression will be used. Only one input. That means, suppose I'm telling you age and height. Generally, age increases and height also increases, but after some time, the height will not increase. So can we say it is simple regression? No, because after certain time, the particular straight line will be not in the inclined position, but that will be in the horizontal position. So that cannot be treated as the simple regression. But where we can use simple regression? Where there will be only one input. That means for sales transaction, I can use for the simple regression. Similarly, for prediction, stock market, what is obviously stock market is not simple regression because that depends on various parameters or various independent variables. Okay, so in that case, we cannot use the simple regression. If only one input is there, then we can find it is a simple regression. Suppose, for example, hour of examination you are studying and the performance in your examination. So performance will depend on the number of working, that means number of time you devoted for your study. So that is for the, yes. Hello?
Sir, why the graph has not started from the origin?
Because see, it may start from the origin. That depends on the how you are drawing the line. It no problem. It may start from the origin. It doesn't have. Actually, here in this equation, what's happened? If I draw this graph from the origin, you find the error will be maximum. That means the line, the distance from the line to the particular straight line, that will be more. And if there is more, that means the line is not the perfect one. So we have to find the line in such a way that it will try to minimize the distance from all the data set to the given straight line. Understand? So if the pattern
Okay.
was so, then we can easily draw the graph from the origin. It doesn't matter. So actually, the whether line is starting from the origin or the line is starting from any other else, it doesn't matter. We have to compute this value. We have to compute basically what you have to know. You know, for straight line, we have to find out. We have to estimate the value of the coefficient b0 and b1. So the any line is given y equal to b0 plus b1x. We have to find out b0 and b1, and obviously there will be error will be associated with that. That is called as E. Okay. So it doesn't matter from the where the line will start. It may start from origin, no problem. But it depends on the parameter, that means input data. Understood?
Okay, sir.
Next. Okay. Now, so what are the simple regression? There are lots of regressions are there. One is sales forecasting, as I told you. Risk analysis. So I have to find out the risk analysis. That means I want to give some loan. I want to give some loan to the borrower. Then I have to calculate that whether it will be true. It will be whether we can give the loan or to the particular borrower or not. Similarly, the financial application to predict the stock market, investment evaluation. So these are the all examples of the simple regression. Okay, so that is the example, but it doesn't mean that you cannot use other algorithm to identify this for this particular case. Next is polynomial regression. Actually, simple regression is very simple thing. That means only one variable is there. But in real life, it has multiple inputs. It has multiple inputs. For example, suppose salary of a person. Now, salary of a person, how it will depend? Salary of a person will depend on various parameters. What are those? One may be the age, that is the input. Another is the designation, that is the input. Another is the grade, that is the input. So there are different inputs are there. And on the basis of that, we can predict the salary. For example, you find that the formula for the polynomial regression curve, it is given below. That is y equal to w1x plus w2x2 plus w3 dot 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 like that. So b is the bias term. B is the bias term means it is basically the error. Okay. So find that it is not linear. This polynomial regression, it is not linear. Rather than it is some curve. It is non-linear regression. In fact, the most real life case, they use this kind of polynomial regression because any factor doesn't depend only on the one single input factor, but there are multiple factors behind this. I just give you the example of the house price prediction. Now, house price prediction, what are the factors? There are multiple factors. First of all, how many square feet? Then what is the close proximity of the metro or market? So there are various factors are there. What is the particular location? Okay, so there are different factors are there. And on the basis of that, the house price prediction we have to calculate. So that is not under simple linear regression. That will be under the polynomial regression, right? Next part is, so one is called regression and another is called classification. Regression, as I told you, that is give you the predicted value based on some continuous variable. But here, the classification is the process of predicting the class of given data points. So classification predictive model is the task of approximating a mapping function from input variable to discrete output variable. As I told you, it is based on the discrete set of values. What are the examples? Predict when a loan is likely to be risk or safe. See, there are two categories or two classes, whether it is risky or it is safe. For any kind of image classification, where it is cat or dog, that is under example of classification. Whether the male is spam or ham, whether the patient identify the patient is diabetic or not, to identify whether the tumor is malignant or benign, that means cancerous or not cancerous. So that kind of classification that can be based on this classification model. So under this classification, there are different algorithms are there. The first algorithm that is used, that is called logistic regression. So what is logistic regression? It is a classifier model which is used to predict the probability of a target variable using the sigmoid function. So this is sigmoid function, it will be written by sigma of z equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus z. So what is the functionality? What is the features of this? It will always take some real value and it will always try to map between 0 and 1 because it will give you the probabilistic value. It will always give the 0 and 1. It will always give you the probabilistic value. Okay. So that is the part of the, that is the example of the, that is the algorithm of the logistic regression. The next part is naive based. When naive based is used, naive based basically it is the faster logistic regression. Now, when there are small training data set and relatively small features. Features means that the different features of the given data set or dimension. Then we can use this naive based classification. That means given on some certain condition, the naive based classification is used or it will be computed. So what is the formula? Formula will be given by probability of C given X equal to probability of X given C into probability of C divided by probability of X. It is based on the Bayes theorem. It is based on the Bayes theorem. So probability of C given X, it is called posterior probability. Probability C is called class priority probability. And probability of X given C, that is the likelihood. And predictor priority probability is the probability of X. Okay. So what are the examples? Suppose any business houses or any organization, they are trying to launch a new product. Now, new product, when they launch a new product, that will be based on certain condition. Suppose car manufacturing company, they want to produce the Audi car or BMW car. And what they can expect? They can expect that only the rich people can buy it. Not the middle class people can buy it. So if their target area is the rich people, then they can manufacture Audi or BMW. So in that case, they can predict that what will be the profit. If I manufacture this particular car that is based on this particular rich people. Similarly, other manufacturing car, they can simply manufacture Maruti or Alto. Obviously, that is kind of car can be the target customers are any middle class family, they can be the target customer. So the conditions are given. I can find the probability on the basis of certain condition. Okay, and we can predict this. Suppose car manufacturing company, if they try to predict the sales value of a car, Audi or BMW, without giving any condition, so it is useless. Because if you simply sell the car to the area where there is no rich people, very much rich people, then obviously you will be not successful. Your prediction result will not give you the actual prediction result because no one will going to buy the Audi and BMW. Okay, so the condition have to be given, and on the basis of that, this naive-based algorithm will be used. Okay. Next, KNN, K neighborhood, network neighborhood. So this will work. The problem in the previous algorithm, that is the naive-based algorithm, is that the data set is small. But if the data set is large, then this naive-based algorithm may not give you the good correct input or correct prediction result. So in that case, we have to use the KNN. So if the data set is large, then it can perform well. So what is the criteria for KNN? We have to first select the K number of returns, neighbors. Then we have to calculate the distance. See the figure. Here K is 2. One is green line, another is yellow line. So that is the category A and category B. Now one data point is found, blue color. Now in that blue color, it will identify that in which category it belongs. So for that, what it will do? it will try to find the distance of its category A and category B. So how it will measure the distance? Generally, there are different types of distance measurement is there. Euclidean distance, then other kinds of distance are there, but Euclidean distance is generally used. Okay. So if the distance is minimum, that means they are very closest to that particular class. Here it is found that the particular blue colored data point that is closest to category A, and find the closest neighbor and vote for labels now. So now the data point, that blue data point, is now belongs to category A. So this is used for the another classification problem. So KNN is used for the large data set, and it will find the number of K. Now the next question is how to select the K. K, I can select any arbitrary K, but generally it should be confined within 2 or 3 or 4, not more than that. Okay, on the basis of that, it will try to find its closest neighbor, and then it will be belongs to that particular category. Say loan category. Example. In this case, suppose a particular person apply for the loan. So what the financial institute will do? They will try to categorize whether the loan can be provided to not, whether this is risky or safe. So they try to find the feature mapping. Those the loan is sanctioned and the risky people where the loan is not sanctioned, and try to find to measure which is the closest proximity. And according to that, they will approve the loan or reject the loan. So that is the application of the KNN. It is again supervised learning algorithm. Just this is another classifier. Suppose there is trained model is cat and dog. So input value is given. Now it will find that from where the features will be matched, because features selection is very important, and according to that it will find the texture, it will find the color, it will be kind of boundary line, and on the basis of that it will find now it is the particular dog, it is cat, not the dog. Okay, so it will find the close proximity with the cat, not the dog. So output will be, this is the predicted output. Okay. Next is support vector machine. What is support vector machine? Support vector machine, it is the another algorithm. It is used to classify the data into 2 categories or classes. Now, suppose there are 2 classes, red and blue. I have to find the decision boundary. Where is the decision boundary, so that I can separate these 2 classes into different planes. And this, out of this line, you find the middle one is called the hyperplane. That means that is the most optimized line between the 2 classes of category. One is blue, another is red. Okay, and that give you the idea of the support vector machine. So it is basically the decision boundary. Now this support vector machine may be linear, may be non-linear. So basically it is just like a boundary. It will just give you the boundary wall, so that the 2 category will be, that means 2 classes will be totally separated. That is the part of the support vector machine. In fact, for any classifier model, the support vector machine performance is very good compared to all other model. Okay, so it will generally, I am just telling you, please mention this point and just put you generally, not always. Generally, it will give you the most better result or better performance than the other model, That is about the SVM or support vector machine. So this support vector machine can be linear, or can be a logistics, can be a classification model. Don't think it is only the classification model. It can also use to predict the data for the continuous variable. At the same time, here you find it is a linear separation, but it may not be true always. That means support vector machine may be non-linear. That means there will be the separation line or decision boundary may be the curve. Okay, that is about the SVM. Now, there is other algorithm that is called decision tree. What is decision tree? When their data set is highly complex, that means complex relationship exists between dependent and independent variable, and the nonlinearity exists, then we can say that is the decision tree algorithm will give you the best result. For example, whenever there are multiple decision making procedure or multiple decision making input, then the decision tree will perform well. For example, whenever doctors prescribe a medicine to the patient based on age, sex, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, so at that time, the decision tree algorithm will perform well. Suppose the same medicine, suppose the doctor prescribed the medicine for the 50 years patient who don't have any blood sugar, and the same patient suffering from the same problem coming to the doctor, but he is highly diabetic. Then the medicine will be different for the diabetic patient and non-diabetic patient. Again, it also depends on the age. It also depends on the cholesterol. So various factors are there. Whenever doctors treated a particular person, actually there are multiple parameters are there. On the basis of that, they will prescribe the medicine. Not the all medicine. Suppose same problem, two patients appear in the same problem, but doctor cannot prescribe the same medicine to the same person. What the medicine will be good for 30 years patient, that may not be good for 50 years patient. Okay, so in that type of problem, the decision tree, that algorithm that will be used, it suffers from bias and variance. That means the highly complex relationship. So, and overfitting is the one of the challenging problem. I am coming to the point at the end. What is the overfitting or underfitting problem? Now, there is other techniques that is called ensemble technique. So, under ensemble technique, this is also under supervised learning algorithm. So, generally, it is used to handling large data set with more dimensions. So, various dimensions are there, and it will combine the different decision trees to generate better predictive performance that utilizing a single decision tree. So, previous slides I have shown you that single tree that is used as a classifier. But here I am using multiple training samples, and I am using multiple, it will generate the multiple training sample. I am using the multiple random tree. On the basis of that, multiple trees, on the basis of that, which tree will give us, that means we combine those tree performance and we find that which tree give the best result. So on the basis of that, we use that tree is the optimal tree. So this is the called the random forest. So among all the trees generated, we find the best one that will give us the best performance. So this is called actually boosting. It will combine the weaker algorithm and then give us the best performance on the basis of that. And that is called the random forest. So that is another ensemble technique and supervised learning algorithm. Okay. Now, here in my some research work, you find that there are some peculiar data. So there are three categories. And I run this model using Weka. Weka is a tool, online tool, and that is freely accessible, downloadable. Now, I am using some data set, three types of data set. One is rainfall prediction, another is lifetime of a car, another is breast cancer detection. Now, you find that I find the accuracy percentage for KNN, NAEP-based, random forest, and SVM. For rainfall prediction, you find that random forest give you the random forest and NAEP-based, they both give you the best result, 0.99%. Right? Why? Because in this case, they are highly complex, and that's why random forest give you the best result. In case 3, breast cancer detection, you find that SVM give you the best result, because I told you generally, in general, I'm telling you, not in all cases, SVM will give you the best result among all the data set, but it is not always true. In this case, you find the SVM give the better result. But you find case number 2, lifetime of a car. The prediction or accuracy performance is very low in all cases, except the random forest, it is highly, that means it is high, 0.55. But 0.55 is indeed is very low percentage. Why this happened? None of the algorithm, even random forest is called boosting algorithm. None of the algorithm give you the best result for lifetime of a car. Why? Why this happened? Because this lifetime of a car dataset contains many features which is not correlated with the actual prediction of the lifetime. For example, color of a car. So what is the relation between color of a car and the particular lifetime of a car? Whether it is red or whether it is silver, it doesn't matter. So the problem is that the dataset, before running the dataset, we have to first reduce the dimension. So that is called dimension reduction. We have to find the features extraction. That means which features is most appropriate for the lifetime of a car. And then on the basis of that, we can train the model. In case 2, why the model is not so much successful? Because we just train the model, entire model, without removing the unwanted fields or unwanted or uncorrelated features. That's why in case 2, it will not give you the best result. So one of the very important features is that after collecting the data, the next step is that features extraction. Features extraction is very important part for train the model. Otherwise, it may create the problem because it will not give you the accuracy result. Okay, and that is the problem here in case number 2. Generally, for the first time user, they always train the model, but that is not true. We have to extract the features. We have to reduce the dimension. There are different techniques are there for reducing the dimension of the particular data set. Okay. Now, next is unsupervised learning. So what is unsupervised learning? Unsupervised learning means there will be no level data. The algorithm will identify the pattern within the data set and learn it. No data will be given. This grouping is called clustering. Suppose this is the clustering. You find that there are different colors of stone. And when we cluster them, one is red, one is pink, another is white. So this is a particular pattern we'll find themselves. And that is called the clustering. For example, when you admitted to some college for the first time, you find after 1 month, there will be a group among yourself. How you form the group? Generally, group may be formed on the basis of your liking or disliking. Some of you are the close friend. Why? Because in the college, there are 50 to 70 students. You find that your close friend will be 10 to 15 maximum. Why? Because you try to communicate with them. You try to understand that what is their liking or disliking, whether they reside in their locality. So there are different factors out there. On the basis of that, a cluster of group will be created in the college. And that is called clustering. So initially, you don't know any one of you. Where you are coming from, Salt Lake, where you are coming from, Majerhat, where you like football, where you like tennis, where you like cricket, don't know anything. You are continuously interacting with each other. And after interacting with each other, you came to know that their features and your features are matching. And then you form the clustering. Understood? So that is the point, and which is totally unsupervised. That will be not level. Initially, you don't know. So you learn something to communicate with the other. Okay. So that is called the clustering. And this is another unsupervised learning, as I mentioned, the dimension reduction. So dimension reduction, why it is very necessary point? Because you have to extract the most important features to reduce the original features set down into a smaller, more efficient set. Otherwise, you face the problem that I shown you in case number 2, lifetime of a car. Because in lifetime of a car, why the all algorithm, even the boosting algorithm will give you the maximum percentage, that is 55%, and that is very poor performance. If the prediction is more than 80, then you can say, okay, the training model is okay. But if it is less than 80, that means the training model is not good. So in that case, you have to reduce those particular features which is not correlated with your prediction model. And how you can reduce? There are some techniques that is called principal component analysis. That is the PCA, which will try to reduce and simply use to reconstruct the data set. That is the principal component analysis. Actually, this is the other dimension. It will take the whole class to discuss this principal component analysis and dimension reduction. This is the total separate topics. Now, next I'm talking about the underfitting versus overfitting. Just see. There are some set of data set given. Now you find that in the data set, I am drawing some prediction line, and you find that all the points from that particular data set point to the line, that is distance is much more. That means it will not give you the actual prediction line. So this is called underfitting. So whenever you find some training sample or testing sample, it will not give you the correct result. Good fit means it is equidistance from those points, and overfit means all the training set has been trained and it is overfitted. Sometimes if you find any data that is outside the line, then it cannot predict. That is the problem in the overfitted problem. Okay. Now, so what actually the underfit? A statistical model is said to be underfit when it cannot capture the underlying trend. See, in the previous model, why it is underfitted? Because it cannot identify the trends. Trends is just like U-shape, but it draw the line straight line, 45 degree. So obviously it cannot understand the trend, and that is the problem in the underfitted problem. Okay. So when it cannot understand that or cannot capture the underlying trends of the data, then that is called the underfitted. It usually happens when we have less data to build an accurate model, and also when we try to build a linear model with a non-linear data. Just here, just keep the data is non-linear. It is not linear, but I am fitting this model with the linear model. So obviously it will give you the wrong result. Understand? The model is non-linear, but I am fitting the model with the linear model. So how it can give you the perfect result? It cannot give you the perfect result. Okay. So in that time, underfitted, that means the model will be underfit. Similarly, the train data is very small. If the train data is very small, then how I can test? Suppose I am training for say 100 different patients. So training data is very small. I am trained the model. Machine. Now, when the other patient will come, that features or the problem is facing that is not matched with the trained data set. So obviously it will not give you the correct result. That means why this happens? Because whenever we are talking about the data set trained, that must be very high. Otherwise, very less data set, the problem will be underfitted. That means it's not properly trained. When you say properly trained, whenever large number of data will be trained by the model, then we can say it will be properly trained. Otherwise, you cannot say. So underfitted, it usually happens when we have less data to build an accurate model, and also when we try to build a linear model with non-linear data and highly biased, okay, unable to line the underlying pattern. How to reduce? First of all, we have to increase the model complexity. How we can increase the model complexity? I am just copying some, suppose for example, I am giving some features, image. Now augmenting the image. Suppose we don't have different image available. So I have to augment the image. Augment the image means what? I have to take the snapshot from different positions and increase the number of image. So the trained data will be automatically increased. We have to remove noise. If there is noise, noise means, suppose noisy data, what does it mean? Unwanted data. Suppose we are taking some image. You find that in the image, there are different blurred image or there are some spot appear in the image. So we have to remove those noise. We have to remove those dot and increase the number of echo. That means how many times? Actually, it is on the basis of that particular deep learning echoes. We have to find out, you have to number of echo means we have to train more time and it will get the better result. So in that way, we can reduce the underfit. Now, overfit means when the statistical model capture the noisy data, then the model does not categorize the data correctly. Just I'm giving different types of image, but that image contains different types of unwanted features. So if it contains the different types of unwanted features, then problem is that it cannot categorize the model properly. So in that case, it will unable to classify the model or classify certain data. So that is called the overfitted problem. So how to reduce it? We have to training the data, we have to reduce the model complexity and early stopping. That means whenever we are training the page, we have to just stop it, early stopping method, so that it will reduce the overfit. Okay. So that is the underfit and overfit. Next is semi-supervised learning. Semi-supervised learning is a mixture of supervised and unsupervised. That means, what is supervised? Supervised, all the data set are labeled. Unsupervised means the data set are not labeled. Semi-supervised means some data set, it is mixture. Some small amount of labeled data set will be there and much larger unlabeled data set will be there. So it will reduce the burden of having enough labeled data, right? So the perfect example is medical scan. For lung cancer, a trained expert is needed to label this time. So if the trained expert needed to label all this data, it is very time consuming. So what they can do, they label some small set of data and after that they will simply use that particular semi-supervised algorithm and that will be applied to the entire large data set to identify whether the image lung it is cancerous or not. So that is the other part. That is the other part for this particular image. Okay. So that is, in that case, we have to use this particular semi-supervised learning. Now, other types of learning, it is called reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is a type of machine learning which allows the software agent and the machine to determine the ideal behavior within a specific content. So what's happened? You find that there is some state. If you compare this diagram, there is some environment. There are 3 points. One is state and reward. So there is some software agent. Initially, it will give the state and reward, and then on the basis of that, the agent will perform some action. So it will train itself and it will try to find whether that particular training is okay or not. So it will continuously fine-tune itself and according to that, it will get the reward. Just very simple example. You are giving some competitive examination. You prepare yourself and you are getting, when the result will be published, you are getting some marks, you are not satisfied. Then again you are studying more to get the higher ranking. Suppose in the joint entrance examination in engineering stream, some of you are giving the entrance for the first time, you don't get chance. Your objective is to get the rank within 100. Next time you again give, you study more, but you find that your rank is 1000. Okay, you are not satisfied. Again, next time you give another time, and you find that now your rank is within 100. So it will continuous process. Unless you not reach optimal level, this will continue. And that's why this is called reinforcement learning. That's why this is called reinforcement learning. So this is the world's largest industrialist robot market. Pune. So a robot uses the deep reinforcement learning to pick a device from one box and putting it to the container. So there are two cases: either it will be success or fails. If it fails or success, it memorizes the object and gains knowledge from the failure. Because failure is the pillar of success. We have to memorize that why I failed. So that will give me the next time I can pass. So same thing happened for the robots. So it will memorize the object and gains the knowledge and train itself to do this job with greater speed and precision. And after all, after a certain time, it will always perform the perfect one. Okay, so this is the example, very real life example of the reinforcement learning. That is the real life example of the reinforcement learning. Okay. So what the conclusion? We can say that we have discussed different types of algorithm here. The scope of the machine learning is huge, and lots of manufacturing company, lots of organization, they are now use the machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning in their market decision. Okay, actually that is the cutting edge, and that is actually the whole world is driven by the particular. Thank you all. Now, if you have any query, just before concluding my part, that's I want to say that it is a procedure. That means which algorithm will be work for what data set, that you can compare the test and you can just identify. Ultimately, you can find that optimal result. But generally, SVM will give you the best result. And if you want to use the boost up algorithm like the decision, that means the random forest, that always give you the best result. Okay. But be very careful about the data set, and not only training the data set, also find whether it is structured, whether the features are exactly appropriate for the prediction. That is also very important for preparing the data set. That is very important features before train the learning model. Okay. So thank you all. If you have any queries, now you can ask me.
Students, do you have any query? If anyone has any query, they feel free to ask.
So is it clear, all the algorithm that I have explained?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Any query? Actually this, and that is the emerging field nowadays, machine learning, deep learning. Actually deep learning is another concept. Lots of scopes are there in the deep learning and machine learning also. So any query from any one of you?
Okay, so I don't think, sir, there is any more queries. So let me, I'm sharing my screen for just few moments.
No query means you cannot, either you cannot understand anything or you are very intelligent.
Students, once again, I'm asking if any query, please ask.
Thank you,
Sir,
ma'am.
kindly accept this digital certificate of appreciation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
It
ma'am,
would
very
be
much.
nice if you could have come over to our college and accepted
Sure.
this certificate.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
sure.
someday after the pandemic is over, we will call you as resource person.
Sure. Then I
Sir,
will discuss about the different topics.
Yes, sir. And kindly accept this memento, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So students, once again, I am asking if there is any query, please ask.
Because it is very emerging subject. Even I understood that why there is no query. Because I am still working. See, I am still working and I have many queries in this field.
I think, sir, machine learning is comparatively new subject for these students.
Oh, this is not introduced in this BC or MCA? Even in the graduation level?
It is introduced in MCA,
Okay.
but
Okay.
in mapped syllabus, it is yet not introduced.
Oh.
So maybe it is comparatively new and say they are getting introduced.
Okay.
to
Actually, in
this.
the Calcutta University syllabus, even in the BSc, they have introduced this machine learning and this part. Okay, that's why I'm thinking, because this is very emerging
No,
subject.
in Macaut, actually, they have actually it is there, but it is in fifth semester optional paper, elective paper.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
that is why it is not yet introduced. So for them, it is new. And the MCA,
Okay,
BCA
okay.
third year, they are having their semester exams from a day after tomorrow. So they are not able to
Okay,
attend it.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
So,
thank you. But I expect some question from you also. Okay, because this is
sir,
totally new subject.
actually, sir, I want to know what are the different research aspects of machine learning. Also, one thing, if you could tell something about the project aspect, like BCA students or MCA students, they are undergoing projects, research project. So, can you please tell about something related
Yes,
how
yes.
they can do
See,
project?
see, I'm telling you project because in the project purpose, what is there are different data set is available under Kaggle data set. Okay, so Kaggle is the data set where the all data set can be found. Okay, from the data set, what they can do, they can train the model. Suppose I'm just telling you the cancerous patient. Okay, so there are different cancer data set is there. You just for the time being, first time being, for when they just try to do, there are two types of that means data set. One is text based and is image based. So initially, my suggestion is that do the project on the text base. That means all data will be in text format. Okay, and do the project in the text based, and there are different algorithm you can run, and all the codes are also available in the GitHub and other Kaggle dataset. You can learn that particular dataset, and you can do the project. So what you do initially, you take the dataset, you load the dataset, then train and test the dataset, and taking some data, other data, and just take whether your model is fit or whether the model give you the perfect result or not. And that is very good project. Lots of students are doing project on this particular. There are different data set is there. You can apply different algorithm like SVM, then random forest, then decision tree, then decision forest. Okay, and similarly there are image based part is there where you can find the image classification. That means whether the particular chest X-ray, suppose the patient is pneumonic or not pneumonic. Okay, or the corona patient, just latest data set is available. Okay, that patient is suffering from corona or the patient is suffering from pneumonia. So how to classify this thing? That everything can be possible in the machine learning model. Okay, in fact nowadays actually everything is done, not only the machine learning, that is but deep learning, convolution neural network, everything is performing by image based process. That handwriting recognition, suppose the days are coming, suppose the students, what they will do, they will write their answer, and now what they're doing, they're write their answer and uploading in the particular computer, and we are simply checking this. But the days are coming, the computer will check those things. That means it will find the keyword, whether keyword is present, so it will find the extract the image, it will find the keyword, and it will simply check it. Now computer only can check the MCQ, but in the near future, not actually that time is not so far. Actually, in the near future, the computer can check on behalf of us. That is the another application of this machine learning. Okay. Similarly, all medical image processing, all medical case, everything is performed by this particular machine learning. So for the BCA project, I think better to download BCA or even MCA. Okay, BCA and MCA project is better to download from the dataset. Lots of datasets are available in the Kaggle. Okay, and even there is some other form that is called Google Colab. That is the editor, Google Colab. Okay, so if you have the Google account, you can use the Google Colab, and in the Google Colab you can run the particular code. You can run the particular code, and it will work
So,
fine.
so
Yes,
Google Colab, we need Google Colab to run the code, and from
yes.
GIT Hub, we can download the data set, right?
No, no, from the Kaggle. Kaggle.
Okay, okay,
GIT
okay.
Hub is the coding for any code is required. Then you will get the GIT Hub. Okay. So
Okay.
just I am showing you. I think just I am showing you the Google Colab, and just a minute. But you can Google Colab. Why I'm always referring the Google Colab, because it is free. Okay. First of all, it is free. you don't need to install it. Even this time, St. Xavier's College, they just install this data analytics, and I suggest that don't introduce any other because I think for the practice part and for project part, this part is very good. Really, it will helpful.
They have introduced data analytics as a subject.
Yes, they are planning to introduce in the third year. Third year. Just a minute, and let me share this screen. Actually, huge scope are there in this field.
And I think it is an upcoming research field.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It is totally upcoming because, see, this is the Google Colab. See, this is the Google Colab. Now I want to open, in the Google, I just type Google Colab. Then this will come, okay. Then I open, see, this is the file code. Very easy. You don't need to install any software in your machine. Just it is loading. See, this is my subcode. Suppose if you find that code, see, I have to import some, obviously in the machine learning, you have to import some library because since this is not practical hand-on session, so I can show you the hand-on session also if you, next time if it is time permits, okay. So there's some, I have to first initiate some loading, then I have loading the data set. I'm loading the data set and splitting the data set, as I told you, training and testing. And then you have to feed the model. I have used the logistic regression model for training this data set, okay. And then see, whenever I'm going to run this one, then you find just use this one. Just run this, it will find you that it will give you the output. If any error occur, then it will tell you that there will be some error occur. Very easy part. In the Google Colab, you just type in the Google Colab, then type the code. Okay.
So is there any book or online study material from where they can learn this code?
Online study, because there are lots of actually YouTube which are there.
Okay.
For how to learn I think that will help you. Initially, that helped me. Actually, when I first learned this machine learning and deep learning, I have lots of research work in the machine learning and deep learning. Okay. So, so I initially learned from frankly speaking, I initially learned from this particular book. Okay. That means from the YouTube. But besides this, there are some machine learning books are there. Okay. So just I am telling you the name of the book. Okay. Just a minute. Let me.
Sir, I have one or two requests. Kindly send me that PowerPoint slide so that I can circulate it to students.
Sure.
Also, if you could give the name of the book somewhere in WhatsApp also, so that I can circulate it to them.
Sure. And that book will be really helpful. So machine learning for the initial level.
Yes, and for basics.
From basics. One of the book is machine learning from Python. That is BPP publication. Abhishek Vijayagora. I will send you all the details. Okay.
Yes. So that is for Python, learning Python from scratch, right?
Learning from Python from scratch. Okay. There is another very good good book that is for analytics books. Okay, and that I will also tell you the name. That is very good book. So Python is there, details. Again, machine learning initial level is there. Again, higher level is there.
Okay.
Very good book. I find it very useful for this.
Yes, sir. Please send me the names of those books so that I can suggest them. Because this year MCA is also going to learn this machine learning. They have never learned before.
Okay.
It will be helpful for them also.
Sure. So I will send you this copy. Because actually this is so vast subject. Many things you have to learn. It is continuous learning process to us also.
Yes, definitely.
Just I am telling you, I am just make some research paper and just writing, and that I find that there is some odd thing result is coming. Then I have to find that why this. I have to interpret that why this odd result is coming. I don't know, because so this is still continuous process. But for initial project based, this is very good. Very good. One is machine learning and is natural language processing. Very good thing.
Sir, two of the participants raised their hand. Shornali Doha and Ajay Balmiki. Do
Yes.
you want to ask some question, Ajay and Shornali?
Hello,
Uh,
sir. Uh,
Hello. Yes.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Sir,
Morning.
I have only one question that if I am working on the research-oriented project that is on the based on the unsupervised text and by using the text processing, so
Mm-hmm.
I want to know the what is the research area are
Mm-hmm.
there to
Mm-hmm.
go with the text as well as
Mm-hmm.
the unsupervised learning also. So that's
Unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning means basically you are actually doing the clustering. Okay. So
and
there are different.
actually, sir, I want to actually know that basically, yeah, I have already done a project based on the sentiment analysis. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
using the text as well as the supervised learning. So
Mm-hmm.
just I want to know that what is the new research area
Mm-hmm.
on this sentiment analysis using the unsupervised one.
That
So
means you
that
want the sentiment analysis using unsupervised one.
Exactly, sir. Or anything oriented text as well as the unsupervised one.
No, see, unsupervised is actually different. Unsupervised means clustering. Mainly the
Hi, sir.
you are doing the sentimental analysis mainly based on the level data. Okay,
Hmm.
so sentimental analysis, okay,
Level
sentimental
data,
analysis is
exactly.
based on the level data. Okay, but you want
Hmm.
the exactly. Sentimental analysis means the level will be given on the basis of that we can simply convert to some emoji, okay, or some expression. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
our text will be converted in some expression, whether happy or poor, okay, that kind of things. Okay, but actually, suppose movie rating, that is also you can do a product recommendation that is used for the sentimental basis. Okay,
Exactly,
now.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly, sir.
so that is the point you can do in the particular sentimental based research. Okay. Now clustering based means you have to do the result. That means high quality sentimental analysis that will be performed on the cluster unsupervised. Actually, that you want the unsupervised learning sentimental analysis, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, what I want to say that I have
Mm-hmm.
done one small project on the sentiment analysis. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I have using the laptop review on that topic. So after
Mm-hmm.
that the thing is actually done. I have used forest, random forest, and the
Mm-hmm.
regression, linear regression. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, my new aim with that topic is that I want to do that particular sentiment analysis
Mm-hmm.
but using the unsupervised learning. So I think there should be present some dictionary to show to do that
Mm-hmm.
type of unsupervised learning. But
Mm-hmm.
basically I want to actually know that, sir, is there any is there any research area oriented with the text and the unsupervised one? So I want to just know that.
Yes,
Is
yes,
there
yes.
any scope
Okay.
or not?
Yes, yes. Suppose the particular, suppose you want to construct some framework, okay, for
Okay.
some neural based model, then you can do this. Obviously, there are different types of research work are there on the
Hmm.
clustering based sentimental analysis. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that will give you some review or comments. Suppose there you're going to review some comments or blog. Okay, so
Exactly.
basically that is the cluster based, and it is also give you the accurate analysis without that human participation. So any kind of review in the blog, so that is not a level data. That is totally unlabeled data, and that is the
And
unstructured.
so in that case, sir, we have to introduce the dictionary of the data.
Yes, yes, yes. You have to
Oh,
use the dictionary of the data. Okay.
okay, sir. So actually, basically, I want to do some research on this text data. So that
Okay.
is why I want to know, sir,
Very good.
what are the scope of this particular area. So that
Actually,
is
scope is continuously increasing. Frankly speaking, this sentiment analysis is used in everywhere. Even suppose
exactly, exactly.
actually
Hmm.
in the product review where you have to use the sentiment analysis, you have to find the product review, the whether it is
Hmm.
good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Suppose you are making some comment. Okay, that is
Hmm.
not the supervised. That is unsupervised. Okay,
Unsupervised. Okay.
it
Hmm.
is totally clustering based. Whether it is
Hmm.
good or bad or some poor or medium.
Neutral or neutral.
Okay, no neutral. Okay, so that is even in the voting result. Actually, vote casting. At least whenever
Hmm.
you are going to take the prediction,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
sentiment analysis for vote, who will win the vote. okay, or what is the support for most supportive one or player. So everywhere we can use the unsupervised, that means unsupervised natural language, that means the sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is another very, very useful topic nowadays. Frankly speaking, all the organization, they
Hmm.
first analyze the sentiment analysis before launching and predict. First they have tried to find that what is the review of the particular product, and on the basis of that they are doing the sentiment analysis. First they just see the review means in the blog or any other, because there are social medias are there. Okay, on the basis of that they try to find that what is the particular sentiment analysis on the basis of that particular blog, and that is totally cluster based, totally cluster
Exactly,
based.
sir. Exactly, sir. So, sir, I also published one small paper on the IEEE with
Very
the
good.
collaboration of the Jadavpur faculty also, because I have worked there for the 8 months on that project. So basically, now I want to do some PhD. So that is why I want to think that I want
Yes,
to
yes,
go
very
with
good.
that particular extension of the sentiment analysis. So I am thinking about
Very
that
good.
I can do the text using the unsupervised one. So that's why
Mhm.
I'm asking to you, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Because one of my paper with my student, obviously, master degree student. Okay, they did this on the sentiment analysis. Okay,
Okay.
optional based mining actually. Optional based mining means there is some block, the data set is given, and that is based on the clustering. Okay, and
Hmm.
that paper is published with my students. Okay, and that is very good, and he
Okay,
got the highest marks in the project. Okay,
okay,
actually,
sir.
this sentiment analysis plays a very, very important role nowadays. Very, very
Exactly,
important.
sir. Yeah,
You have to
exactly,
create
sir. So that's why I'm asking you, sir. So it is very merging, and I actually my thinking of that I am going to do this thing based on this
yes,
unsupervised one. So
yes,
that's
yes, yes.
why I am asking you that, sir, I have to build the dictionary or what. So
Yes,
that's
yes, yes. Very good.
okay, sir. So, sir,
Go ahead.
thank you so
You and
much
your,
for with interaction
thank you,
with.
thank you,
Thank you, sir. Thank you
thank
so
you, thank
much.
you. Very good.
Is there anyone who want to ask any
Yes,
question?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Please ask.
Good morning, sir. Actually, sir,
Good morning.
my question is from project-based question also. Sir, if
Yes,
we
yes.
use precision agriculture, so which
Mhm.
algorithm will be best for precision agriculture if we have both type of data, suppose trained data, and if we want to
Yes.
introduce the new data also? Because these days precision agriculture is a very limelight topic. It's getting in very limelight. So that's why I want to know
Mhm.
for the case of precision agriculture.
Precision agriculture.
Yes,
Precision
sir.
agriculture, which algorithm will be used? As I say that that actually there is no hard and fast algorithm is there for use the particular algorithm. Okay, and especially for the term that is precision algorithm, that means precision agriculture algorithm. I think that machine learning application, there are different types of machine learnings are there, but I think the best one is the will be the but they'll be competitive. Again, it depends on the data set. Okay, and SBM will be the best one. There are different types of machine learning you can use. Okay, but it will always give you, again, the classification problem will give you. But I think if it is image based, opted for the CNN. It is
And
image
sir,
based.
if we have if we want to use both type of data, suppose we have already a trained data set and we
Mhm.
also want to generate a new data, then
Mhm. Then you can use any classification algorithm. Generally, just I'm telling you that if you use this class, actually here the classification, in fact, it is since it is continuous. I rather tell you use any regression algorithm. That means you can use SVM for regression also. You can use the logistic regression for the regression also. Since this is continuous, so my suggestion is use this regression analysis for this problem.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Hmm. But if it is image based, my suggestion is do for CNN. Use CNN, convolution neural network, for
Okay, sir.
precision one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Generally, generally classification give you the best result. Classification, sorry, regression. Regression means same thing. Logistic regression you can use for regression or you can use for classification, but you use for regression because this is continuous one. And that's why most of the
What what is
people
the
sometimes
we use decision tree?
which one?
Decision tree algorithm, sir.
Decision tree means whenever there are lots of multiple decision factors are there. Just I told you That was, suppose you,
Yes, sir.
the
Just like in
doctors
precision
prescribe the medicine
agriculture, there
for
are
a particular
multiple
patient.
factors.
Yes, multiple factors are there and highly complex. There is not a single factor. If this is true, suppose I am telling you, suppose I am selecting some job. Suppose you get some job after your study. Suppose you get the appointment letter from 5 companies. Now, sometime what are the criteria? How to select that which company you choose? First of all, you find what is the salary. Okay, if salary is high, then you opt for the company. Then you find not only the salary, there are other factors. What is the factor? Security. So if the salary is high but security is low, then you have to think whether I join the company or not. Third point, it is far away from your home or it is near your home. So that is based on some criteria. So on the basis of that, we have to find out which decision will be taken by me. So that is based on the multiple criteria, and multiple criteria we have to use this decision tree.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So, is there any more question? Neha Gupta, you have raised your hand. By mistake, you have raised, or you want to ask some question? Okay. So, sir, I don't think there is any more question.
Okay.
So, I think
Thank you.
we can now end the session.
Okay.